Now, there's two other churches I just want to do a glance. First is Ephesus. And that's found also in chapter 2 of Revelation, verses 4 and 5. So all I want to look at very quickly. Ephesus is the first church that the Apostle Paul writes to. And in verse 4, John says, "But I have this against you, that you have abandoned the love you had at first. Remember, therefore, from where you have fallen, repent and do the works you did at first." Now, I want to say this. Ephesus was probably on a human level, and I think even on a spiritual level. Ephesus was a congregation the Apostle Paul founded. The Apostle Paul, it was probably his most successful church. History tells us that the church at Ephesus numbered around 4,000 to 5,000 members while the Apostle Paul was there. And if you look at Ephesus, read that entire paragraph, you'd be like, this place is amazing. But what happened? They really forgot their mission. They became comfortable, complacent. And Jesus reminds them, have that zeal. Have the fire that you had when the Apostle Paul walked among you. When he preached the word, remember what it felt like. Be renewed. He says, repent from where you fall. The last church I want to look at very briefly this morning is Sardis. And Sardis is found in Revelation chapter 3 and in verse 1 through 3. I only want to read this section of the paragraph for time's sake. And Jesus says, "And to the church at Sardis write, the words of him who has the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I know your works. You have a reputation for being alive, but you are dead. Wake up and strengthen what remains and is about to die. For I have not found your works complete in the sight of God. Remember then what you have received and heard, keep it, and repent. If you will not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know what hour I will come against you." So here is another congregation. I want you to notice that on the surface, at the present time, looks successful. Sardis, Jesus says, has a reputation for being alive. I want you to think about this for a moment. We can have all kinds of programs. Busy work, I call it. And we can have this busy work, and we can be active, and we can be doing things. But if it's not productive, what does it gain us? What does it gain us? Jesus says there's busy work, and there's work to be busy about. Sardis seems to me that they had busy work. So success in human eyes might be different from what God defines success. However, I think what we can notice from all of these is God is merely one step ahead of the human mind. If you look at the history of these churches in Asia, you'll notice that God's warning comes before they even realize there's a problem. But a few years down the road, for those churches who did not correct the problem, they ceased to exist. See, today, the same thing. Our churches have the same issues. We have faced the same challenges today. Churches in Revelation, right? So why do churches fail? A pre-COVID-19 study. So this is pre-pandemic. This is leading up to, this was done in 2019, I believe. So this is right at pandemic level, or right before the pandemic when this was published. So the research was done prior to the pandemic. Showed that 80% of the churches in the United States were shrinking, and literally, I'm not exaggerating this, thousands of churches close every year across America. I believe if pre-pandemic numbers, I've got a friend who's a Presbyterian preacher, and I believe that he told me that they closed on an average, just the Presbyterian church, which I don't view as being at least in this area, it's not a major player in the denominations. But pre-pandemic, my friend Felix said that they closed an average of 500 churches a year across America. Think about that. And it makes you ask the question, what happened? Why? I think I'm gonna list 4 reasons. I could go on with other reasons. I'm gonna list 4.